Today's topic is one that's starting to show up in more and more marketing conversations: generative engine optimization, or GEO, or AEO, as many people are referring to it nowadays. You can probably find a different acronym each and every day, but GenAI driven search is really changing the game. Whether you're using Google's search generative experience, ChatGPT, or Copilot, we're in a new phase for how buyers discover our websites and engage with our content. So while the rules are shifting, traditional SEO isn't going away, and the strategies we use to show up, demonstrate value, and convert prospects to customers are evolving fast. Thankfully, here to guide us is Charles Askew, Arketi Group's Executive Interactive Director. Charles has been with Arketi for nearly 2 decades and plays a lead role in the development of all things digital at Arketi, whether it's websites, tools, videos, animations, everything in between. If there's a digital element to be built or executed, Charles and our interactive team are most likely behind it. Now, before we get started, a few typical announcements. Today's session is being recorded, so you will see a link to the video recording at some point over the next week or two. And if you have questions as we go, please feel free to drop them into the chat box. We'll try to tackle as many of them as we can by the end. And thank you to those who submitted questions in advance. All were fantastic, and hopefully we've baked them into the presentation. And if not, we'll cover them right at the end. So with that, I'll hand it over to Charles to run the show today.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today as well, too. So let's start at the big 10,000-foot view of your website. Some just see the website as just another business expense. Others view it purely as just lead generation machine. But your website is so much more. It's your public face and your digital reputation. The one thing everybody can see. One of our favorite stats is that 70% of the B2B sales cycle occurs before a buyer ever makes contact with a salesperson. Your website does a lot of that legwork for you. It's building trust, removing friction, and keeping customers. That list is far from exhaustive, and now with the advent of generative AI, it has a whole new role it's got to perform, teaching technology how to talk about you. So we're all tech B2B people, so unless you've been living completely off the grid, AI has already touched at least some aspect of your business. It's changed the way we gather analytics, simplified research and writing and editing, and it's become our personal note takers for those calls that could have been emails. And as buyers turn to AI to search for new vendors and products instead of traditional search engines, it's also causing that dip you're seeing in organic traffic. Right now, generative AI is somewhat of a wild west as marketers try to figure out exactly what triggers tools like ChatGPT to recommend your business. But some early best practices are emerging. Today, we're going to dive into the generative engine optimization, or GEO for short, and you may hear other acronyms, AEO and others well too, but they're basically all the same thing. We'll share some practical tips on helping AI use, cite, and trust your content. And a lot of the conversations and research I've had with marketers, they're coming to hearing the same challenges pretty much over and over. They're asking, how does AI decide our information is more trustworthy and relevant than someone else's? How do we measure impact and ROI in this new landscape? How do I find processes I can rely on when these tools are evolving so rapidly? What does the evolution of GEO mean for SEO efforts? And we're going to address a lot of these questions today, but I want to start with the last question first. Remember back in the early days of the websites when SEO, where we had all those hidden keywords, really long alt text, meta tags, hidden content, and they were all that secret sauce that made everything work for SEO. We're sort of back in those experimental days again. But this time we have all the lessons we learned from SEO as a starting point. If your existing best practices still play a role, ensuring that you have clean HTML structure, proper schemas, the snippets of code behind the scenes within your HTML that describes your page content to search engines will both help for SEO and GEO. Luckily, these things are intrinsically linked together, so they'll be hand in hand with us. So as you optimize for AI, understanding and trust, your SEO gets to ride shotgun along with it as well too. So we've condensed some of the early learnings we've found around what works and what doesn't for optimizing for generative AI into 7 steps, touching how you should adjust your digital marketing, content creation, and public relations efforts. So let's take a look at each one. So starting with number 1, we're going to start with structure. We're all storytellers. We understand flow is key in making sure buyers are on the page and getting them to engage with the content. Think of AI as a buyer. If your page is laid out in a way that makes information easy to find, AI is going to continue reading your page and categorize you as a more helpful source. Much as your bold headings were catching buyer's eye, AI is looking for your headings for direction about what can expect to find on the page. Your pages should have clear heading structure from H1 at the top of the page to your H2 and H3 subheads. And if you're not familiar, those are HTML tags. Breaking your content down into logical chunks makes it easier for models to digest. It also helps to think of yourself less as a marketing professional, more of a Jeopardy contestant. Why do I say that? Because AI wants to answer in the form of a question. You use your headings to ask clear questions. For example, how long should I expect my warehouse management system implementation to take? Think about potential customers might form and what questions they have when they're asking ID, and model your headings accordingly. Remember when I mentioned the schema a little bit while ago regarding SEO? Added structured data to your, which is also known as schema, into your HTML, FAQ, and how-to and products can also make it easier for AI to understand your content. And as marketers, and we always look at that and say like the H1 and H2 and H3, we like, well, make this headline bigger or make this one smaller. What's happened is we have used headlines the wrong way. Instead of treating them as the outline of the page, we've used them as pure design elements. So make sure that structure is right. So moving on to step 2, we want to offer clarity in our copy. As B2B marketers, we know there are so many pitfalls to avoid when writing content. It's easy to get caught up in the story and forget how buyers are looking for solutions, not just product promotions. It's an easy way to get stuck on marketing speak with buzzwords that might seem something very important to a niche audience, but nothing to those who are really signing the check. GEO is another reminder that we need to stick to the basics. Ditching the marketing fluff, get straight to the point with clear, concise answers that solve real customer problems. Keep your sentences short and scannable, and use conversational phrasing. Fluff will throw off how an AI analyzes your offerings. When you ask AI questions, you probably notice how it tends to spit out bullet points, each with a bold summary at the beginning of each. You should try and mimic that approach. Not only does it make it easier for readers to quickly understand where they should pay attention, but it also forces you to think how to describe your benefits and differentiators in 20 to 25 words rather than 75 to 100. Think of these as structured snippets, short self-contained answers that look like they're ready to be quoted. And if you're more involved in the social area, you may have heard that too long didn't read. That's exactly what this is. It makes the copy concise and to the point, or at the end, actually giving a good solid summary. Moving on to step 3, which is own your expertise. And this is one of our CEO, Mike Neumeyer's favorite things. He always likes to say, if you want to be a thought leader, you have to have a thought. Anyone with a laptop or microphone can position themselves as an expert these days. But chances are they lack true vertical expertise your executives offer. You need to help AI understand why you should be the trusted source as opposed to someone else. When it comes to AI understanding and ranking your site, it all comes back to EAT, or to EEAT. This you may have heard in Google as well too. This is one of these sources for the Google rankings, and that stands for expertise, experience, authority, and trust. Start by showing that humans are behind your content with real author bios with credentials. Then back that up with case studies, testimonials, partnerships, and certifications. Anything that proves you walk the walk and talk the talk. Make sure your about and contact pages are transparent and up to date as well too. Simple credibility goes a long way. When developing content, Look for ways to interlink articles so that your site is the most complete and comprehensive source on that topic. AI models favor sites that show breadth, depth, and expertise pillar pages, and that's one of the signals for authority. And as for the public relations friends out there, GEO just made your job even more important. When other sites talk about you, it's one of the strongest trust signals AI and people can see. Placing your executives in key publications with consistent messaging better sets up GEO to index your company as a reliable source. Now, step 4, you want to be everywhere. So how does AI change the channels you prioritize? Honestly, it's best to dabble across a broad range of channels with consistent message because that's how AI connects your brand to specific answers with the language you prefer it to use. Make sure your listings match everywhere. Google, LinkedIn, Crunchbase, other directories. Revisit your positioning and ensure it's clear. Use your company name plus keywords often. For example, Acme is a compliance data provider. This helps AI link your brand with the right concepts. And remember that clarity equals credibility. In addition, AI tools trust what's already trusted. They reference sites that are cited elsewhere, so aim for backlinks from industry blogs, news outlets, and trusted directories. These signals tell AI your content is credible. An SEMrush study recently found social networks that prioritize questions and answers, specifically Quora and Reddit, are the most cited domains in Google AI overviews. So it may be time to expand your presence across other social media presences. And keep pushing thought leadership. White papers, research, and insights, the kind of contents other people want to quote, and in turn, AI will quote. Okay. For our next step, step 5, it's like find your cadence. Whatever it is, don't let your content remain stagnant because that's the kiss of death for AI. A RankBot study found that 80% of the AI citations come from content updated within the last year, and over 60% of commercial pages cited by ChatGPT were updated in the last 6 months. Freshness matters both to people and AI. Technology is changing so rapidly that you'll quickly lose trust if you quickly lose trust if your advice or support on a topic is missing critical context from the last 12 months. Even small edits signal that your information is active and maintained. If you don't already have a content tracker, now's the time to develop one. Keep track of the content topic, when it was updated, and what examples or case studies you use to reference that may need to be updated. Take a scan through it at least monthly and look for opportunities to update sections based on what your customers are asking about or current events that are relevant to your brand. Finally, in the code, add a last updated marker. AI models tend to trust surface content that looks much more current. And as your cadence, we talked a little bit about how the context around things. One of my favorite phrases that I've been using is content is still king, but context is queen. And once they get together, they really worked well together. Moving on to the next step, step 6, it's like embrace experimentation. And this is one of the hard things to let go. So one of the things, like, let me ease the stress over this. You don't have to have all the answers right now. And honestly, when it comes to GEO, your competitors are at the starting line too. So we're all at the same point. What's important is you don't shy away from experimentation. Trial and error will help you understand what solutions you're missing to truly embrace AI, and you'll be better prepared to invest in new solutions as they become available. One approach is to launch an AI hub or FAQ page on your site. It may be accessible to visitors, but it isn't really built for them. Instead, it answers the top questions of your industry, no matter how basic they seem. What is third-party 3PL provider? What's the difference between a lead and lithium battery? This content talks directly to the models and can be continually updated as prospects inform you how you appear in their generative AI searches. Take some time each month to read publications and catch new innovations. you might want to try. At the moment, I'm watching something called LMTXT, which is an extension of the robot text file that allows you to put in prompts that allow AI to understand what your business is and what it does. And as these grow, they'll help marketers guide how models crawl and use your site content. At the seventh step here, don't forget the basics. And this just really jumps into my world as part of the interactive. With all the excitement around AI, don't forget the basic fundamentals of website development still apply. If you want to make sure users don't encounter any hiccups when they're trying to read or load your pages, because AI will counter those exact same issues. First of all, speed matters. Fast load times and a clean mobile experience aren't just for users. AI and search engines providers prioritize them as well. Make sure your site XML sitemaps, which is what tells AI and robot crawlers to go to, are current and correct, so crawlers know where to go. Avoid duplicate and thin content as it confuses both users and AI. And finally, run regular crawlability checks to make sure nothing's blocking your visibility. Running regular checks through platforms such as Google Lighthouse can help you understand where your site excels and where you need to address some roadblocks. Simple fixes like these make a big difference on how both people and AI see your site. And if you look at here, these are all sort of SEO type suggestions, but AI uses them as well too. So these again are to SEO and GEO are just intrinsically linked. So here's a quick summary of our 7 steps. Start with structure, offer clarity and copy, own your expertise, be everywhere, find your cadence, embrace experimentation, and don't forget the basics. Notice we're moving from content development level tips all the way up to your broader campaign planning. It's important to consider how GEO impacts your marketing strategy at every level. So take action and capitalize on AI search. So with all this information, what do you do next? Of course, all of it's easier said than done because AI feels like it's a moving target. It can be overwhelming to try and launch a GEO initiative. We tried to break the process down into 3 categories: what you can do right now, right after this call, what you can do next month, and what you should be watching for next year. So right now, make sure your fundamentals are in order. Start running Google Lighthouse reports to see how your site performs, and look to address any lagging metrics. Use personas to search and see what AI thinks of you, and begin to develop a content strategy to further bolster results or redirect its understanding of your brand if it doesn't align exactly with your strategy. And one thing key here, when you're running these persona checks in AI, you have to separate yourself out a little bit because you don't want to write as yourself. You want to write as a buyer being really basic about a question. So you don't want to go, I need a 15 3PL solution for, and like have a paragraph like, I need to fix my business to do X, Y, and Z. So keep them basic to see how it's returning results. So next month, you may not be able to immediately optimize all your site for AI, but you can ensure AI is able to easily access all your content you have already and all readily available. Ensure your site is visible to crawlers, AI or otherwise, and register your important pages with key search engine tools. Marketers really tend to focus on Google, but AI indexes from Microsoft Bing as well. So you need to ensure your content is visible everywhere. This is also time to begin your content overhaul, implementing your content tracker and look for ways to hit blogs, case studies, QAs, and white papers current and conversational. Speaking a little bit about the Microsoft Bing, we tend to just dismiss it, but Microsoft Bing and its webmaster tools are where ChatGPT and Copilot go first for their information. So Bing is now as big on the radar as Google, so don't forget about that. And next year, keep experimenting. Update your site's backend so it's a little more AI friendly, focusing on schema markup for direct machine learning. Look to expand your content across a variety of channels with consistent messaging, further cementing your position as a thought leadership. And look for new tools you might want to bring in to better leverage AI through data management processes as well too. turn it back over to
Thank,
Jacob.
thank you, Charles. I would give you a round of applause, but I don't want to upset anyone's speakers. We'll take the next few minutes to go through any of the questions that were submitted, as well as a few that were submitted ahead of time. So please go ahead and drop anything in the Q&A box, and we'll get through as many as time allows. But just to kick us off and set the stage, one question we received early on, Charles, which I think quite a few in the audience might be interested in, is blogs have traditionally accounted for 2/3 of our organic traffic and are now down to 1/3. What changes to content or other content types should we explore, or how should that content evolve?
That's actually a really good question. And if you've been following sort of the Google search rules out there, everybody is experiencing a significant drop in organic traffic. And that's to do with the AI searches as well as the Google search having the AI at the top. So from right now, this could change, but right now, I hate to be like the bearer of bad news, that's not going to get fixed. So you need to make sure that those blogs keep having a cadence, because it is still the thing that actually is what's being used to index your site and answer AI questions first. So if someone's asking a question about your product in ChatGPT, they're going to read it and just go from there and either click out to your site or just get the answer there and close it out. So as you're like developing your blog post, and we were talking about the H1 and the H2 things, there was literally an article that I read last night that was talking about, you may have heard, like the #1 country song in America is AI generated, and that they are doing, and on Newsweek, they are doing this thing where they're using the headings, it's to answer questions to get it to show up in AI first. So their headline is the #1 country song America's AI generated, and as you read the article, their headlines is why it matters, and what to know, and what do we do? What happens next? So those are the actual headlines. It doesn't have a question mark, but it's asking a question to associate that and get it deeper into the AI search engine. So don't stop what you're doing, but keep expanding it and find ways to actually get those questions in your articles so that they keep filtering into AI.
And how does AI deal with PDF documents? What if they're behind a registration or a form of some kind? Thank you, Lori, for that one. That's one I've even wondered about recently.
Think of it like a person. If a person can't cannot get to it directly, then AI can't either. AI can read a PDF, and one of those hidden things that people don't know about is in SEO, Google can read a PDF too. So sometimes you see that PDF marker in Google search results. It means it's read a PDF and is directing you straight there. If you want your PDF to be indexed to AI, but still be behind a form wall, you could consider adding a PDF directory page, like an FAQ page that's hidden. And while it's still publicly accessible, it's just not findable by normal means, like navigating through your site. So you could create a sitemap that points specifically to key PDFs that you want to have indexed, or have a page that has those PDFs indexed and then has clear headlines and subheads directing to the PDF as well too. But yes, ADI will read your PDF and actually cite your PDF as resources.
And I love this question from our friend John Hansen over at Iron Mountain. John, I'm going to combine this one with another one because they're equally good. What do we do now to get the most bang for our buck? What are some quick wins to get started on GEO?
Yes. So the kind of today, next month, it's like I would kind of focus on today. Let's first of all make sure, and I'm going to jump back to that slide real quick. Make sure you know what AI thinks about you. That's something you can do today. If it's saying something about you that's not right, look at where it's linking to and then correct that. Maybe you need to change the language on it. Maybe you need to make sure that it's actually the headings are in the right order, so it's not jumping down to the end thinking the H2 header is contact us, and that's where it's jumping to, skipping all the content in the middle. Those are some quick wins. Also, too, make sure a lot of people and a lot of webmasters were really terrified of AI this last year. and they put blocking into the robot text file so it would not index the site and use your data for training models. You've got to clear that out so that the generative search engines as they go in are not blocked by your site and just basically move on to the next one. So those are some really quick wins. Another thing you can do is you can just look at, again, like the next month, you can look at the content. If it's too dense, you can leave that there, but maybe give a summary at the end with an HTML that says, so here's an end summary, here's what we offer, that X, Y, and Z. And those are some fast ways you can do that. Also, too, and the very quick one as well, too, is going out to that Microsoft Webmaster Tools to make sure it's indexing your site. Because as we learned, while it was indexing our site, it hadn't been updated in years. So we needed to make sure that our site was fresh and updated as well, too, which we've done. And we're starting to see a little bit more traffic from AI actually get our information correct.
And how does GEO differ from SEO? You've mentioned site load speed is very important to SEO. Is it equally important to GEO? Could you expand on that a little bit for our viewers?
The best way I would put it is everything that is true for SEO is true for GEO. So GEO is just SEO with extra steps. If your site is slow, SEO is going to ding you because it means that you just don't care about performance. GEO is going to do the same thing. If it gets to the point where it just can't get all your information, it's just going to stop and move on. It doesn't care that your images have people in them. It doesn't really care that your text is actually 1,000 words on this page. What it cares about is structure information and catalog information that it can use to relate your page with the right product.
And here's our last question that was submitted in advance. Again, thank you everyone who put forward a few. If there are any others, drop them in the chat and we'll cover them. But do we continue to write as many blogs as we have been? If so, how do we adjust writing style, length, etc., to encourage LLMs to read without hurting human readability?
If you write in conversational levels, it's not going to hurt human reading at all because humans can read conversational copy. Here's the big thing, this is my opinion based on research that I've done, and there's some facts now starting to back this up. A lot of businesses and marketers turn straight to AI to write copy. And AI writes copy in a very regimented, structured way. So AI knows AI copy, and it discounts that compared to actual human written copy. Now, using AI as a starting point and actually editing it to make it more conversational, that will kind of cover that up. So going from a cadence perspective, yeah, don't stop at all. If you're doing 2 blog posts a month, do 2. Keep doing it. If you go back and look at old blogs and see if you need to update some information, you could actually update it and then it'll be updated and more recently. So now you have a third blog, 2 blog posts that are new and a third one that's been updated. Look at those and then also make sure that maybe you want to actually, instead of just writing just a straight blog informational post, you want to throw an extra one in there that's a very easy win that just describes one feature of your company. It's like, what is the biggest selling point of working with us? And that's the title of it. And of course, make it a little bit more conversational friendly, but maybe you put that in there and that helps AI learn, okay, this is the reason why we really want to recommend when someone asks them this or asks a question about this.
And Stephanie put forward the question, what is the tool we're using, or I know there's several out there, to measure website speed? I know Google Lighthouse is one, but are there others people should know about?
Google Lighthouse is the big one because that one is what drives Google's metrics. So in Lighthouse, there's 4 tools. There's performance, which is how fast it runs. There is best practices, is how secure your site is, and if it's using modern tools. There's accessibility, which is your site friendly for disabled individuals that need site assistance? Does it have alt text? Is your site accessible to people that just don't look at the screen? And the 4th one is SEO. So as you can see, SEO is just one column of the performance metrics Google uses to actually rank your site. So Lighthouse is the big one, but there's other ones. There's a web page speed test, and you can see a lot of technical data that you can get lost in. And it'll be like time to first byte and everything, but it will give you more information. Like if for some reason like your server isn't responding, you get a big red line. You can actually use the website page tools to see maybe it's getting lost in some routing traffic or something like that. And there is YSlow, which is a very good ranking tool, because what it does is it shows you how fast your files download. So you can see this file is an image on our homepage that's a little icon at the bottom, but somehow it's 3 megabytes big because someone didn't process it for the site, right? So it can give you key indicators like that to see where your files and what's coming down and if they're optimized right as well too.
Awesome. And I love this question from Will. Charles, what are your thoughts on educating AI models to make sure we're represented, B2B brand in general? How does depth of content matter? How much depth? What type of content strategy should they be thinking about from that perspective?
That is a really good question, and I'm not sure I have the answer for that one right now, mainly because we're still so new in this. So the depth of content is, I would say, if you have a massive depth of content, the more important thing is presenting it in an organized manner so that AI can get to the right points where it needs to train and learn from your data the right way. So if you have a here's a good example. If you remember, like all the rage was the infinite scroll, where you could just keep scrolling through blog articles and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through like 150 of them. Well, AI isn't going to scroll like a normal human. It's just going to see what's on that page. So it only sees really maybe 15 or 20. So maybe look at like your breadth of content that you have, maybe look at a different way of presenting it. Maybe have it in steps where you go back to the old way of actually having like page 1, page 2, and page 3. So it knows to keep going. And one big thing is use that content that you already have in a logical manner. So if you have a product page, have a section for your content like PDFs and case studies at the bottom that are essentially related resources, but don't call them related resources. Call them, so you want to learn more about this topic, and then instead of using the title and description, give it a question like, this product, how does this product relate to getting me more money back? And then answer that and then link to there. So that not only is that using the question and answer for your resources that you already have, it's actually giving AI more credence to say, okay, this PDF is answering this question. I need to take it seriously.
I love that. I think that covers all of the questions that were submitted. Of course, if any come to mind between now and the end of the year or even into next year, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We always love to have a conversation on this. But before we wrap, 2 small plugs for Arketi that we'd love to share. First is our 20th annual Tech CMO Roundtable. We are locked in for October 22nd, 2026, and we hope to see you there. You'll probably see some communications from either myself or Mike Newmeyer over the next few days for that one as we get that on the calendars. Same time, same place, 100 plus CMOs, 4 hours of networking and big ideas for what's next in the world of marketing and communications. And finally, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and found it equally compelling and helpful with some insights and some actionable next steps. Please know, if we're not already working with you, we would welcome the opportunity. If we can help you implement any of the tactics or strategies mentioned today, we would love to have that conversation, whether it's analyzing the actual performance of your website, sizing up the content, providing some recommendations, or even helping you edit the content into some of these AI-friendly formats. We would love to help you with that, especially as we round out 2026 and round out 2025 and head into 2026. So with that, that is the end of our session. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate all of your participation and engagement. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I hope everyone has a fantastic Friday and weekend.